What is up, guys, and welcome back to the Throttle YouTube channel. Before we get started on today's video, I gotta let you know, today is the last day to get entered to win the Mustang GT. You guys have seen us build it on the YouTube channel.
And every $1 you spend, guys, don't forget, if you go to throtl.com, whether you buy merchandise or auto parts, gets you 1 entry to win this baby.
And if you're a VIP member, every $1 you spend is 5 entries to win. So head on over and join our VIP club. Don't forget, Sweepstakes ends tonight at June 30th, 11:59 p.m. Don't hesitate, get those entries in. I hope I'm handing you the keys.
Taking the keys, baby.
Alright guys, welcome back, and I'm continuing to paint Civic stuff. Mickey prepped all this. I'm gonna paint this satin black. I'm gonna shoot the matte clear on it. That's just the first layer, as you can see. Really light. Let that dry for about 5 to 10 minutes. Once it's dry, keep doing coats and coats.
And as you can see, Ricky did a great job getting some satin clear and satin black paint on these canards. They're nice and smooth on the ends now and fit the look of the rest of the car, which is sick. All right, we've got our Track Tough oil filter housing relocator mounted on the frame rail with some nutserts. We're gonna go ahead and put our K20 filter on, and this is just for mock-up, guys. So that's our filter in place. You'll notice that it's nice and out of the way. It's protected by the frame rail and the core support, so if we run over a cone or if we go over the curbing or any off-road excursions at the racetrack, this thing is protected, because the last thing you want is to hit some debris, rip off your oil filter, and lose all your oil pressure. It's no fun. I've been there and I've done that, and it's messy and you'll lose a motor from it. So this is a great location. It's down below our radiator, out of the way, and it's also below where our intercooler is going to reside. So it's going to be kind of out of sight, out of mind. But when we do an oil change, it's in a super easy location to drop the filter and do quick oil changes. So super pumped.
Mickey wants my opinion, my professional opinion.
All right, so putting an oil cooler right here. But the factory Honda bumper only has a really small opening for like a fog light, and that fog light hole falls about right here. So if we do cut out the fog light, we're gonna get air passing through, but it's really only gonna pass over this portion, which is okay. These coolers are actually very efficient and don't actually need air to flow over them to cool the oil, but the more air you can flow through it, the better, obviously. So I have an idea to sort of cut out some, I don't know if you call it like a finger. Basically this black area down to here, and cut out 3 stripes basically out of the bumper to allow air to pass through the cooler and then out the bottom of the car.
I dig it.
It's just one of those things where you like, once you start cutting,
you go back.
you ain't going back.
Once you cut, you ain't going back.
Yeah.
Once you cut.
Hey.
All right.
Shawnee's like, I'll
rewind.
So what do you think? Or is the angle?
It makes it more of a race car.
Like, so
That's the point.
this thing's kind of straight and this thing kind of falls away. So I went straight kind of with these lines and these lines. Whoa, look at that guy.
Throttle hub or what?
Or should I do like 4 of them, smaller?
I like it. I think it's cool. I think it's more race car style. That's what you're shooting for.
I agree. I don't care what you think, Nate. Sean and I are gonna cut holes in this.
I'm a purist.
I'm gonna let Sean cut the holes.
Yeah. I'll butcher that thing. What we got going on here, Ricky?
I'm just making a angle brace for the oil cooler, and because it's on an angle, it requires more math.
While Ricky's working on our oil cooler mounts, I'm gonna go ahead and start smoking some holes in this front bumper. I drilled our holes, so we got nice symmetrical holes at either end. So I'm gonna actually use a jigsaw style tool and cut the straight lines now, but I'm gonna go ahead and put some masking on first so that I don't scratch up the paint. This is ideally something you'd wanna do before you send a car off to paint, but we didn't know where our oil cooler was gonna go yet, so we're gonna just do it the way we know how to do it. Alright, so that's the idea, the concept. I've got basically one side finished. I'll go back and tune it up. This is like a porting tool for steel, deburring tool. What I'm finding with the jigsaw style tool is that it actually is melting the plastic back together as I cut through it. So I'm just kind of getting it as close as I can to the tape line with that. And I'm going back with this and hitting the edge and making it real nice. We also obviously tossed the bumper on so you guys can see what those cuts look like. The obvious reason behind these is to allow additional air to flow over our Hayden oil cooler, which is right back here. As you can see, I think these lines here actually complement the grill and look very racy and cool all at the same time. I think it adds a nice touch to the front of the car. So. As you guys saw, Quinn just tossed in our new used water,
New to us.
water.
Correct water.
What is that thing even called? Housing? It's not a filter housing.
Water pump housing.
It's not a pump housing either. I looked it up. The technical name is neither here nor there. I can't remember right now. But anyway, finding this part was, believe it or not, super difficult. We bought the only one off of eBay and paid way too much for it. But we had initially cut ours up to make our other manifold fit, which didn't work. I know it's really difficult to see because everything's blacked out, guys, but the K-Power manifold clears this bracket for the tensioner pulley so close, like factory. It's insane. And huge shout out to them. This thing is definitely the solution for any of you rear wheel drive K20 guys. It is awesome. And it fits around and lets all of the factory stuff bolt back on this engine. Quinn's gonna continue putting on our tensioner, our alternator, and our air conditioning compressor at the bottom down here. And we're gonna have to bring in some lighting because you can't see anything in this engine bay. It looks insane. It's so blacked out. We're gonna go ahead and move on to the radiator. And as you guys know, I introduced this beautiful piece of equipment from Track Tough months and months ago. This is a custom made part we had him do for us straight out of the gate because we knew we were gonna do a V-mount setup. So he went ahead and actually handmade this radiator for us. And it also has its own fan shroud with rubber flap doors to allow the air to pass through when it needs to. And we've already got our dash 16 AN bungs already welded on here. So if you guys watch our previous videos, you know Ricky and I welded on a core support style beam for this, and it sits in here, if I can find the holes.
SOS Loke DJL. That's what he says.
So we actually temporarily mounted this in the bar. So now I have to open up the holes down in the lower bar to add a rubber grommet to isolate this, because you never want to hard mount a radiator. The vibration will over time kill the aluminum and all the welds and everything. So we don't want to break our beautiful radiator. So we're going to isolate the feet. I'm going to go ahead and build 2 aluminum stays that are going to mount on these tabs. We welded on the frame rails before this went off to BCC for paintwork. And now you can kind of see where we're at with the oil filter housing. It's going to plug in here to this Track Tough oil filter relocator bracket or sandwich plate. Lines are going to run one here, one up to the cooler, back through here, back to the engine, and complete the cycle. One other really cool thing about this radiator is Rob was able to put these bleeder bungs up here on top of the radiator at 60 degrees, which is really cool because usually when you do a V-mount, you're just reusing another radiator that was meant to be in a stand-up position, where this is going to allow us to actually crack these open and bleed the lower half of this system really easily. So that's really cool. But enough talking, let's get our brackets made.
so Mickey went ahead and he fabbed up these brackets. It's actually really nice for the radiator here. Now, we decided to do a V-mount setup. So actually the intercooler bracket is gonna be mounting to this radiator as well. So Mickey did a nice job getting this all squared away and all prepped. And now I'm going to tack it here while it's in the car, then disassemble everything and then put all the final beads on this on the table, just so I have kind of a better placement and I can just focus on making the weld as perfect as possible. So.
All right, well, Evan just finished up welding the brackets for the radiator to mount back in the chassis. So I am gonna go ahead and bolt it back in now that it's kind of cooled off. And then we can figure out where the intercooler is gonna have its final resting place and start making some tabs for it.
All right, so Mickey just fabbed up the tabs for the back side of the intercooler, and these are gonna bolt to the radiator, which we do have to add. But for now, we're gonna go ahead and weld these on, as well as clean up the rest of the welds from the front of the intercooler, from the tabs. And we'll do that real quick, get this thing all wrapped up. Intercooler.
It's an intercooler.
Oh, you can't see my beautiful welds on the back side. That's okay. This is
it
it
from here, actually.
You're gonna make some standoffs on the radiator, get that bolted down, and that's your basic V-mount, right?
Mm-hmm. More than basic, but it's an actual V-mount, and I think it's pretty trick. So we just gotta fab up the end tanks now, and we're waiting on some materials to do that. So this is actually probably a good place to break this video off. If you guys want to see us finish this up, you're gonna have to tune into the next video.
Hey, got him. Subscribe to the channel, guys. We really appreciate you guys for sticking with us all the way to the end. I'm super excited about this project. It's been a long time to get to this point, but all of your prep work, this thing is amazing. Thank you for tuning in. Get those entries in. The sweepstakes ends tonight. We appreciate it.
Don't take my Mustang. Please don't take my Mustang.
Take the Mustang. Peace.